The Athletics could very easily win it all this year if everything clicks.
I hope so. That would be fun to watch. Matt Chapman will finally get some respect on his name.
Hey everyone, welcome into another episode of Rip and Riff. I'm joined today by Jeremy Frank, also known as @MLB Random Stats on Twitter. Jeremy, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem. How has the world been treating you these past couple months?
You know, all things considered, pretty decent. Like, I'm not sick. My family's healthy, so that's really all I can ask for right now. But, just kind of just going day by day, just waiting until I can go back to school, and hopefully, eventually, the world goes back to somewhat normal, like normalcy. So, just kind of just hanging out.
That makes sense, and thankfully everyone's healthy. So you're a Boilermaker, right?
Yes, go Boilermakers. My dad actually went to Purdue, so I've been a Purdue fan my entire life. So it was kind of cool that I ended up going there.
Oh, that's awesome. Was Purdue your first choice? So you were trying to kind of figure out what you wanted to do?
It's actually interesting. So I was applying to colleges, and the three schools I was really looking at in Michigan and University of Wisconsin. And so at first, like, my dream school was like University of Michigan. Like, it was a pretty like difficult school to get into, especially like out of state. Like, it's just a huge campus. Like, athletic department is awesome there too. And like, I knew a couple of the baseball coaches too there, which is pretty cool. But I ended up like visiting there, and like, I just did not really like the campus. I got in, which I was surprised about, but I didn't. I ended up just choosing Purdue just because, number one, Michigan is like $30,000 more expensive per year, and also just the big campus was just like, Purdue's obviously a big campus, but Michigan is just enormous, and like, it was just not my thing. It's like in the middle of Ann Arbor, so it was just kind of, I like the college town kind of vibe, so I ended up going with Purdue. Definitely don't regret it at all.
Awesome. So you're studying data science. Was that and obviously you've kind of grown your following and had a lot of cool opportunities in your life because of your love of statistics. What kind of came first for you? Was it the love of baseball, or was it the love of kind of math and data?
Yeah, I'd say the love of baseball came first. I've just been playing baseball since like T-ball and just kind of loved it ever since. But also, like, growing up, like in school, like the only thing I was really good at was math. So it was kind of a natural fit with baseball statistics. Data science is kind of a nice major for me because, like, I don't mind, like, data science is kind of like the combination of computer science and statistics. And like, I don't really mind computer science. Like, I hate like software engineering and stuff like that, like hardcore like coding and stuff. But like, using it for math, which is kind of like how data science is, I'm kind of interested in that. So it's kind of a good fit. I'm like, obviously statistics is a pretty big part of what I do for my Twitter account. So it kind of works out pretty well.
So what kind of inspired you to start that Twitter account? Was it just, I think there are people out there who would be interested in some of the random stats I'm finding?
Yeah, that was exactly it. I was just trying to find people that were interested in what I was interested in. I did not think that there'd be like 50,000 people that were interested in very random baseball stats, but I mean, I guess there are. But yeah, I started it my freshman year of high school, so I was like 15, and definitely like slow started first. Like, it probably took me over a year to get like 1,000 followers, but then Twitter kind of works out like where like you gain followers like exponentially, it seems like. So it's kind of just taken off from there.
And it's very cool that you stuck with it. And I think you've got some more fun ahead as you are now a published author, which we'll get to that a little later. And that's very cool. And honestly impressive for someone your age.
Thank you.
So what we have today is we have some 2020 Top Series 1 to open up. You want to just kind of jump right in and do pack 1?
Yeah, let's go. All right, here we go. I'm excited for this. All right. So you want, like, how are we gonna do this? Just go like alternate cards or what?
Sure. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
I don't care. You can go first.
All right. My first card is Charlie Culberson.
Okay. I got kind of a fitting card. I got the Atlanta Braves team card. I don't know if you could see that very well. My camera quality is not great, but I believe he was on the Braves when that card was taken.
He was. The Braves have a beautiful stadium and area around that stadium. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it.
I haven't, and they've been doing a lot with their stadium. They like renamed it after a year or something like that. I don't like.
I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been down there. I haven't traveled that much, to be honest. Like, I've been to like 5 or 6 parks. I wish I can get to more of them. I was supposed to go to California, like last week or 2 weeks ago for like, I was gonna hit all the baseball parks out there, but obviously that didn't work out.
Unfortunately. Well, there's next year, and I've got that same trip in my plans at some point too. All right, my next one is Jackie Bradley Jr.
Jackie Bradley Jr., that's an interesting one. I feel like he is a really interesting player, especially for this year, because he goes on the longest streaks, like the longest hot streaks and the longest cold streaks. I've any player that like is just like some random average kind of guy. Like he's a good defender, but like, I mean, in 60 games he could like literally win the MVP or also like fall out of the batting lineup because he hits so poorly. Like it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he has a chance to be either Ray Ordonez this year or Willie Mays.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel about him too. My second card, this is a nice card. It's a goodbye home run, Kyle Schwarber home run, July 16th, 2019. I don't remember that game specifically, but I definitely did watch it because I'm a Cubs fan. But I don't, Well,
how do you feel about Schwarber in general?
I'm higher on Schwarber than a lot of other Cubs fans, I think. And just a lot of other fans in general. A lot of people see him as like, oh, like he's a DH playing in the National League, which like I think was true at the beginning of his career because I mean he was in college, he played for Indiana and he was a catcher the entire time. And then he got up and the Cubs had Montero and then eventually Contreras and then he tore his ACL, which is not great for a catcher. So they ended up moving to left field. And at first he was terrible, which you'd expect. It's just a totally different position. But he's really actually made some improvements. I feel like a lot of people haven't bothered to actually consider the fact that people can improve when they work on things for a long time. So people still see him as a DH. And like I'd say he's still a below average fielder, but he's definitely not like the worst fielder in baseball or even the worst fielder on the Cubs. I don't think he's going to get people are like, "Oh yeah, he's going to DH 50 games this year." I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to play at least 30 games in left field this year if I had to guess.
All right, we'll mark that down. Sorry, my bad. I've got Ian Kennedy.
Ian Kennedy. What interesting. I don't know if I have any. Oh, Ian Kennedy, he's like he's a closer on the Royals, right?
Yeah,
he's an interesting player. He was actually one of my friends asked me to put together a 30-man roster using one player from each team, and I believe Ian Kennedy was on that team because he said also don't pick starting pitchers to be relief pitchers, so I ended up picking Ian Kennedy from the Royals.
That's fair. I would say the Royals are interesting because Ian Kennedy's quality, but they are secretly loaded again when they fell off after 2015. As a Mets fan, I hate them.
All right, my next card is Roberto Perez, catcher on the Indians. I believe he won a Gold Glove last year. I'm not actually sure. If he didn't win it, he definitely deserved it because he was really good. According to this card, he led catchers in total zone runs from. Oh, they have WAR on these cards. That's really cool. Yeah, he had 3 WAR last year.
Yeah.
Before last year, but he kind of put it all together. He's a solid hitter and he's a great framer, I believe. I don't know if he won a Gold Glove, but
he's pretty good.
Yeah, he was pretty solid.
So you were surprised to see WAR on the back of the card. If you had to pick 5 stats to put on the back of a baseball card, what would they be?
Okay, for hitters, well, I think it's kind of interesting because you have to balance out the people who are opening baseball cards versus like appeasing to like the advanced audience. So I think you have to keep like batting average, home runs, RBIs. As much as I think that they're probably a little bit outdated in terms of like player evaluation, they're still very important. Like if you're like I think anyone would look at a card and expect to see those on the back. So I'd put those 3, and then I'd probably put WAR as a good stat to have, and then also either OPS or WRC plus, depending on what they think their audience is going to be here. Probably just OPS makes more sense just because people understand kind of what that is. They don't have to. It doesn't have to be a math lesson on the back of a baseball card. But
that's fair.
For pitchers, I'd probably, as much as I hate win-losses, if they can't even look at what the pitcher's record is, and then ERA, strikeouts, and then you could probably just go WAR for them as well. So I like that they included WAR. I did not know that just because I haven't opened up baseball cards in a long time.
Yeah, it's a relatively recent addition. I think it speaks to kind of where some of the advanced stats have started to go a little more mainstream. All right, so speaking of players that I love to hate, Justin Turner.
Okay. He's an interesting one.
He blew up as soon as he left the Mets, and I've never quite gotten over that.
Yeah. He's a really good hitter. People think he's kind of getting old, but he's been really good until like his mid-30s, and I kind of respect that. He had a really late start to his career, like you were saying, that like he wasn't even good until he was like 27, 28.
Oh no.
All right. My next card is Red Sox pitcher Andrew Cashner. He was a former Cub, I believe. Yeah. He's been all over the place. Cubs, Padres, Marlins, Rangers, Orioles, Red Sox. Honestly, could not tell you anything interesting about Andrew Cashner besides that.
Well, I've got Oscar Mercado from
Okay.
the Indians.
He was a rookie last year. I remember there was they were doing some list on MLB Network, and they had like the top center fielders in the American League, and like someone put him second for some reason, like behind Trout. I'm like, dude, he's not the second best center fielder. Like he had him like ahead of George Springer. I'm like, what do you do? Like what the hell? But he was very solid last year. I will give him that.
He is.
Yeah. My next card is a better card. Is Mets pitcher Jacob deGrom. I'd argue he's probably the best pitcher, and I'm sure you agree with me there because you're a Mets fan. But it's either him or Garrett Cole, in my opinion, for the best. I'd probably give the edge to deGrom. I am interested to see how he does with the DH, though, because he does have that going for him compared to, obviously, Cole did pitch in the National League, but when he was really good, he was in the American League. But now they're on an even playing field. But I do believe that deGrom is the best pitcher in baseball.
I'm looking very much forward to seeing them square off against each other a couple times this season. So I have Garrett Cooper from the Marlins.
Okay. Yeah, he's first baseman for them?
Is he listed? Yeah, first base and outfield.
I believe that I read an article, I think, that said he'd be their DH candidate this year. I don't know if that was him. I think it was him. It was funny. I was actually apparently. Do you remember Justin Bohr, the Marlins first baseman from a couple of years ago?
Yep.
He was like really good for like half a season, and apparently he's in Japan now. I saw a highlight of him.
He's over there too.
Yeah, I guess he ended up getting replaced by Garrett Cooper. Yeah, he was on the Yankees for a little bit, Garrett Cooper, and then he got traded. Who did he get traded for? Let me look. He got traded to the Brewers and then traded to the Yankees with Caleb Smith. Caleb Smith is really good for Miami. He's probably their best pitcher.
He's up there for sure.
Yeah, my next card is Cubs infielder David Bodie. He had probably the most memorable at bat of the season last year, at least for a Cubs fan. He had that walk-off grand slam against the Nationals, I believe it was, which was very exciting. He's a really solid player. I think he benefits on the Cubs. I think he benefits more than Schwarber does for the DH. I think Schwarber was already locked in to be an everyday player. So, I mean, even if you thought he was going to be a DH, it would just be him getting those at bats at a different position. But David Bodie's a guy that squeezes in there. He can play second base. He can play third base. They might be able to put him at shortstop if they wanted to. But it's just going to be when guys like Chris Bryant and Javi Baez and guys like those are getting rest. David Bodie's the guy that slides in, because now you can give those guys rest by putting him at DH instead of just by sitting him out. So I think Bodie's more happy about the DH. Like Bodie and Ian Happ are more happy about it than like Kyle Schwarber is.
Yeah, that's fair. I always kind of liken Bodie to kind of like a Placido Polanco type, just solid, flexible, and he's going to be used to plug holes more than anything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so my next one is Jordan Zimmerman of the Tigers.
Okay. Didn't he get hit in the head with a baseball like last year? Or was that him?
He might have. I'm not 100% sure.
He had some brutal injury like last year or 2 years ago.
I always remember him with the Nationals because I feel like he was very good when he came up with the Nationals. Then they had Strasburg, and then there was that window where those two were going to ace the rotation, and then they ended up getting Scherzer, of course. So things changed.
Oh man, do not look at his record from last year. It's not very good.
What was that?
Do not look at his record from last year. It's not very good.
Oof. Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. 1-13 is not ideal. Especially, it's funny. I'm looking at his baseball reference page. In 2013, he actually led the National League in wins, and then last year he went 1-13 with a 6.91 ERA. But I guess it's kind of like the life cycle of a baseball player, right?
To an extent, yeah. And I don't think they had a massive offense in Detroit last year. I mean, Miguel Cabrera is still
right. Yeah, they were not doing him any favors. My next card is another former Cub, Jeff Samardzija. He's on the Giants now. He's kind of just like their stereotypical workhorse. He's not a great pitcher, but like it seems like he pitches 180 innings every year and is just solid.
Yeah.
He's been a little bit. I mean, he was at the Cubs and then the A's. He pitched for the White Sox for a year. I remember that because my dad's a White Sox fan and I watch him a little bit. But yeah, he's an interesting one. The Giants are a really interesting team this year to me because I'm much lower on them than I think a lot of other people are. and like they seem like they have like you think of the Giants, you're like, oh yeah, they're always just kind of decent, like at least pretty consistent. But you look at their roster and it's just not good at all. Like I really think that they're going to finish with the worst record in the National League this year. If not, it's either them or the Marlins. I think they're as bad as the Marlins are this year.
Yeah, the depth just isn't there. They've got a couple names, but I don't see like them being able to overcome one, maybe even two injuries. I just don't think they can do it.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, so my next card is Abraham Toro. It's his rookie card.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with his body of work. Got to be honest.
Yeah, I probably couldn't tell you. I could tell you what team he's on, but I could not tell you anything other than that. I'll look at his stats real quick. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't anything special last year. I mean, he was solid. He played a little bit when Correa was hurt because they moved Bregman to shortstop and they let him play third base a little bit, I guess. My next card is this would be an interesting one for you because you're a Mets fan. It's Phillies outfielder Bryce Harper. I don't know how well my camera is picking this up, but yeah, he's a really interesting one. I don't know if you saw the video from Foolish Baseball a couple of days ago, but it was talking about how he was kind of his contract almost makes everyone like think that he's overrated, but in reality, like in the video would say that he's actually underrated. And I think that's kind of realistic. I think that's kind of a fair way to view it because I think everyone like thinks of him like, oh, he's so overrated, but like overrated does not mean bad. It just means like, I mean, you could argue that he's overpaid in my opinion, but I don't think people overrate him anymore. He had one terrific season, and I think his expectations from fans have been just completely unrealistic. Like whenever people started comparing him to Trout, like that's when he was overrated, but now everyone realizes that's just not who he is. He's just a solid guy. He gets on base a ton. He hits for some power. He's just kind of just a solid player.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm a bit of a reformed Bryce Harper hater a little bit. Just to be honest, I've come to appreciate what he brings to the game as far as his energy and passion, and I think that's invaluable. He's still pretty young, and we'll see what happens. Like I still think he could develop and add a little to his game. I think he's motivated to for sure.
I remember in 2015, so he went on that tear in 2015, and then he had a series versus the Cubs in the next year, and I think they walked him like 13 times in a 4-game series or something, including like one game where I think they walked him 6 times. I think it was like Mother's Day weekend or something like that. It was crazy, and everyone was saying like, oh, like they broke Bryce Harper because he did not have a great season that year. But I don't know if that was it or not.
What'll be interesting for him this year is because they're doing the schedule, like the East only plays the East, the Central only plays the Central. Yeah. Like he's taken that daddy hack to a few games at Yankee Stadium with like a 300-foot right field. He's gonna get a boost from that.
There won't be any boos for him this year, though, at Yankee Stadium, luckily for him.
All right, so I have Adalberto Mondesi from Kansas City. Yeah, I feel like
he's interesting.
He got hyped when he came up, but I feel like he hasn't gotten much attention since. But he's only, like 25, so I mean, there's still plenty of time. 24.
Dude, he's crazy fast. If you look at his games, I mean, he's never played a full season, and he's still, I mean, I think he stole 40 bases last year and, like, was not even qualified for the plate appearance or for, like, the batting title. If you give him a full season, I mean, he is, like, I think the biggest threat in baseball to steal 75 games in a season. Obviously not in the 60-game season, but in a 162-game season, if I'm putting money on any player, it's probably him. He's so fast. He led the majors in triples last year, and he only played 102 games. He's just ridiculously fast. And, like, he's just a solid player. Like he can hit relatively decently, and he's just so fast that like it's insane. And it's not just he's fast; he's super aggressive, and he's a super good base runner as well.
Yeah, I watched him in the minors a little bit. He's definitely got talent, and to your point, he's a threat every time he gets on base.
Yeah. My next card is Orioles relief pitcher Michael Givens. I think that's how you say his name. I'm not sure. I mean, I couldn't really tell you much about him besides the fact that he's a relief pitcher on the Orioles. But hey, I mean, I guess that's a lot of players in baseball.
That's fair. My next one's an interesting one. So this is an insert. It's a Pete Alonso insert showing one of his Topps Now cards, which if people don't know Topps Now, it's basically Topps produces cards based on moments throughout the season. So this one was when he won the Home Run Derby last year. So it's a call to that. I'm a Mets fan, love Pete Alonso. I'm not going to say much more than that other than I'm so happy that he's on my team, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this year.
Yeah, my next card is very similar to Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Home Run Derby card. I don't know if you could see that. My camera quality is terrible.
All right, so my next one is Matt Chapman. This
Oh,
is the
yes.
kind of turkey red insert.
My favorite
What I'll
player.
say about him is, if he played for the Yankees, he would be one of the most popular players in baseball. As good as he is, the fact that he's in Oakland is the only reason he's not extremely popular.
Yeah, I agree. He's my favorite player in baseball, actually. It's kind of funny they pulled him. Yeah, I love the A's because of Matt Chapman. They're probably my second favorite team in baseball. Just because, I've been on the Matt Chapman hype train since he came up, and he's just, I mean, he's one of those guys that is just such a good defender that his floor is so high. Like, he's never really gonna have a bad season, even if he doesn't hit, because he's just, I mean, I would say he's the best defender in baseball. You can make the argument for Andrelton Simmons at shortstop or Arenado at third base, but I think he's better than Arenado. It's hard to compare between positions, but I mean, I really think he's the best third base defender we've seen in quite a long time. And he's a really good hitter too, which a lot of people don't really consider. They kind of think oh, he's just a great defender. But you look at his hitting stats and also take into account that he's playing at the most pitcher-friendly ballpark in baseball.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the whole thing with me is everyone counts out the A's because they look at their pitching staff and how the hell is Homer Bailey going to pitch innings for them and they're going to make the playoffs? And then every year, those pitchers overperform every single year. Do you know why they overperform? Because their defense is so freaking good. Because Matt Chapman and Matt Olson and Marcus Semien and all those guys are out there saving runs for him. I mean, that's why these guys you've never heard of on the A's always seem to have good seasons pitching-wise because their defense is so good.
That's a great point. And I laugh at your comment about how is Homer Bailey going to throw innings for them. How the hell did Homer Bailey throw 2 no-hitters in the majors? I don't know, but it worked out.
Yeah. My next card is another Oakland Athletic. This is an interesting card. I don't know if you can see it. It's Chris Davis, Mr. 247.
247.
Yeah, he's a good player. I mean, he's a DH, so it kind of limits his value. But he had a down year last year, if I recall, but he's got a ton of pop. He's short too, he's 5'10" or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. He seems really short. I don't know if that's actually his height.
I think it might be his stance because he just
that could be it. He did not have a good year last year, but before then he was one of the more consistent hitters. Not just because he had the same batting average for 4 years in a row, but he had 40 bombs pretty much 3 years in a row. It looks like
you pretty much know what you're going to get out of him.
Yeah.
All right, so my next one is Michael Baez from the Padres. That's his rookie card. I think he's a reliever too. Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I could not tell you much about him, to be honest with you. Just one of those guys. But
you know who
I can tell you a lot about? My next card, Mike Trout. What a pull!
He's pretty good. He's pretty good.
He is pretty solid, I would say. No, yeah, I love Mike Trout as well. I watch a ton of Angels games just because their team is so fun as well. I mean, you're turning on a game, especially with Rendon this season. You're gonna have Rendon, Trout, Ohtani all batting back to back to back. And then throw in the fact that Pujols is going to be chasing some milestones this year, even though Pujols isn't what he used to be. I mean, it's still going to be. Every game there's going to be, I think, something that happens that's going to be interesting with them. Their pitching not great, but I think their hitting is good enough that they'll have a shot at making the playoffs this year.
Absolutely, and Pujols, you're right. He's not what he used to be, but how much does that dynamic change over a 60-game season where maybe he doesn't need as much rest? Maybe he can take a couple of harder hacks than he normally would because he's not saving himself for a season that's 3 times as long.
Right. Yeah. His knees have been dead for 3 years, but if he can just kind of take it easy over more of a 60-game season, yeah, you're definitely right. And also Andrelton Simmons, I mentioned earlier, one of the most fun defenders to watch and one of the best defenders. I mean, their team is just so fun. Plus, Joe Adell's supposed to come up this year, too. One of the top prospects in baseball. They just have everything on, besides pitching. But who really cares about pitching, right?
I do. And you know who cares about pitching? This guy, Roberto Ozuna, because he is a pitcher. And what I'll tell you about him is he is one of the best values in MLB The Show as far as pitchers go.
He's got to be he's got to be some gold, right? High gold.
He is, but he's not even if you don't pull him out of a pack in the show, he sells for pretty cheap relative to how good he is. I think it's a combination of he's on the Astros and people hate the Astros right now, and I don't know, he's just underappreciated for whatever reason.
He's one of the best control guys, it seems like. He doesn't not walk a lot of guys at all, and he's just a really good just pitcher. I mean, he's one of the more reliable closers in baseball. You gotta say, just because he just doesn't walk guys. I mean, his strikeout to walk ratio is like over 5 every single year, which is really great because walks kill you as a closer.
And it's funny because as hard as he throws, I feel like that level of control doesn't come with that very often.
Yeah, exactly. Another pitcher is Brandon Woodruff on the Brewers. I'm not really high on the Brewers this year, but I do like Brandon Woodruff a lot. I really think he's a really solid number 1 starter to have. He's not like your stereotypical like ace, but he's still a very solid player. He's gotten really better over the last couple. Well, actually, not really. He's been pretty good for a couple years in a row. But yeah, I mean, he's just a really solid pitcher. He's going to need to have a really good season if the Brewers want to make the playoffs, though.
Absolutely. I would tell me if you think this is unfair. I kind of compare Woodruff to Kluber in that I think they can have very similar careers if things go the right way.
I can definitely see that. That's a good call.
All right, so I'm out of cards. You ready to go to pack 2?
I've got 1 card left, actually.
One more. All right.
I've got Mauricio Dubon on the Giants.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about Mauricio Dubon.
That's got to be his rookie, too, because I'm pretty sure he hasn't played yet.
Yeah. Yes, it is a rookie card. Yes.
Okay, there's some fun ones in here. I've got Freddie Peralta from the Brewers. To your point, that staff isn't exactly fantastic.
They call him four-seam Freddie because he throws like 85% of his pitches as four-seam fastballs, and he was really good as a rookie year. I think he had like a no-hitter going in like the 8th inning of his like first career start or something like that, or maybe he had like a lot of strikeouts. I don't know, something like that. But I think hitters have kind of figured him out a little bit to just lean this way on the fastball. Hopefully the Brewers can kind of counter that with making him throw some more breaking pitches. But yeah, I mean, they moved in the pen last year, and if you're only throwing fastballs out of the pen, just not ideal. I mean, he makes sense as a starter because you can kind of get further into games doing that. But if you're pitching 1 or 2 innings at a time, like you kind of lose that advantage. I could be wrong. I feel like that is what happened, though. I think that was kind of what was going on.
Right.
I could be completely wrong. First card is the card. They're a very good team. I will say that about the Twins. They're quite good. I believe that. I mean, not only did they hit a ton of homers last year, but they're also really good at preventing home runs. My friend Devin Fink told me that, and it was really interesting. I thought everyone's like, "Oh, they're just such good at like they can't. This isn't sustainable. You can't just hit a ton of homers and hope to be good." But their pitching staff was really, really good at preventing home runs too.
Oh, absolutely. And what's funny about that team, and you tell me if you disagree, Josh Donaldson, I think, is one of the most underappreciated players of this generation. As good as he's been.
No, I agree.
Nelson Cruz is still kicking.
Yeah, he's just always doing it, it seems like. And he hasn't really stuck on a team really since, I guess Toronto was the last time he was really, he was on Cleveland. Do you remember when he was on Cleveland for a little while? He played like 10 games for them or something like that. But he's just kind of been a little bit all over the place. Not like all over the place, but like for a player of his caliber, like he seems to be bouncing around a little bit. But he is really good.
He is. But you take him and Nelson Cruz still able to do it as a DH, and we haven't even gotten to like Kepler, Rosario, and if Byron Buxton puts a couple more things together, he's dangerous.
Yes, I agree.
Logan Allen, rookie for the Indians.
Gotcha. I heard a little bit about him. Could not tell you what it was though, but I know who he is. Again, I know what team he's on. Could I tell you something about him? No.
Nope.
My next card is Marco Gonzalez. He's a pitcher on the Mariners. The
Okay.
Mariners are bad, but he is solid. He is one of the few solid players on that roster, so that's good for him. I think the Cubs clobbered him last year, if I recall correctly, but could be wrong.
Probably do. The Mariners are interesting because I mean, everyone's waiting on Kalenic at this point to see if he turns into what a lot of people think he is. So,
right.
I think this year we'll find out. So, My next one is Yadi Molina. He's an interesting one. A lot of people think he's a shoo-in Hall of Famer. I think he probably is too, but I know some people just think he's overrated. I have no response other than he's just been one of the best catchers in baseball for how long now?
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think he's a shoo-in Hall of Famer. Like I don't think he's going to get in super easily, but I also do think he should get in, and that's coming from me as a Cubs fan saying that. But I think he's overrated a little bit as a hitter. I think people equate like don't get me wrong, he's a very solid hitter for considering he's a catcher, but people kind of equate his defensive ability with him being a terrific all-around player. He's very solid, but he is definitely not like a Joe Mauer-esque hitter at catcher. He's not that good, but he is a very valuable player. I mean, he's contributed a lot to like 2 World Series, I think, for the Cardinals. So yeah, I think that's definitely enough to get in the Hall of Fame. My next card is Gene. Yeah, he's on the Phillies. He's a shortstop or second baseman. Shortstop. He's an interesting one as well. I mean, there's a lot of these guys are just interesting players. He was just bouncing around all over the place, and then he finally kind of turned it on a couple of years ago. Actually, he's actually been good for longer than that. I guess I'm wrong on that aspect, but he was really good. It looks like his first year, he played a year for the Diamondbacks and then moved to the Mariners and then end up where he is right now for the Phillies. He seems like a guy that is super streaky as well. Like I could totally see him hit 350 this year. Like I would not be surprised.
This is going to be a weird season for the streaky guys. I think of like Jeff McNeil as someone who never gets talked about selfishly. Again, I'm being a bit of a homer here, but I feel like he doesn't get a lot of national recognition. But over 60 games, if he comes out hot, like there's a shot he hits 400.
Oh yeah, Jeff McNeil is super good, and it's not just his hitting for contact. He's obviously, as you know, I'm preaching the choir here, but he's so versatile. You can play pretty much wherever you want to put him, and also he actually has some power now too. He's not like your stereotypical like singles like hitter. Like he can hit some homers.
Yeah, and I've seen some interviews with him and heard him talk. His stance is basically, if you throw me something over the plate, I'm going to swing at it. So I'm interested to see if people adapt and throw him more garbage on the first pitch this year, because he eats first pitch fastballs for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
All right, so my next guy is Chris Archer. A lot of talent, a lot of potential. I hope he kind of figures it out after he's injured right now, right?
Yeah, he's out for the year. My next guy is a rookie card of some player I've never heard of before, Lewis Thorpe. I don't know who that is.
I got nothing for you, man.
I just he missed 2 months. He missed 2 seasons by Tommy John surgery and then had mono. But then he earned 2018 Twins Minor League Pitcher of the Year award. He's from Australia. Wow, that's a really interesting. I have to follow around this guy. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. So new guy to follow. Lewis Thorpe, right? I heard that right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
This is now a Lewis Thorpe fan club. All right. So my next guy is Jose Peraza of the Reds. Yeah, probably not much to talk about there.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of just a below-average shortstop. If he can hit, he's fine. If he can't hit, like last year he couldn't hit, then he's not a good player. Another guy who relies a lot on his bat is Orioles former slugger Chris Davis. I wouldn't consider him a slugger anymore, but it's funny because I really think he's still capable of actually being a slugger. Like, he had a terrible start to last year, and that really is not a great confidence booster when you start the year like 0 for 40. But I mean, he can. I still think that if you give him a full season, I would not be surprised if he could come close to hitting 30 home runs. He only had 12 last year in 105 games, but it just seems like he has a few streaks like once in a while where he just looks like the guy he used to be. So
my next card is Kirby Yates of the Padres. He's pretty good.
Oh, he's dirty. I did not watch a lot of Padres games, but the Cubs were playing Kirby Yates last year, and he just embarrassed them. He struck out the side, and it wasn't just that. He was just hitting every single corner of the strike zone. It's just absurd. Like, you got, like, his numbers are great, and then you watch him pitch, and you're like, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
41 saves last year, led the league. 0.89 whip, 1.19 ERA. He's solid.
Yeah. My next player is a Met, shortstop Ahmed Rosario. He's solid. He's solid. Just a solid shortstop.
He is. I root for him because A, Mets, B, I think there was a lot of hype when he was coming up, but it's really interesting because within the Mets system, they have Jimenez coming up behind him, and some people are getting a little impatient with Rosario. Like, all right, dude, be an all-star now, or the next guy's coming. But he got up young, and he's gotten better every year. So I think there's still a lot of hope for him.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there.
All right, so my next guy, John Gray. He's got a little more of a muted haircut and beard in this photo, but that's John Gray to me is, I don't know. I feel like he could one day be like peak Ubaldo Jimenez as far as like making a Rockies comparison go, but I don't know. I can't get a read on him.
Yeah, it's tough for a lot of Rockies pitchers to be able to just tell how good they are because it's just so fluky their seasons. Like sometimes, I mean, John Gray at his best is one of the best pitchers in the National League, in my opinion. But there'll be some times where he just gets clobbered over a 5-game stretch and it just ruins his season. And it's just for every Rockies pitcher. Like I feel really bad for them. It's just super hard to pitch there. But yeah, he's a really good pitcher. Him and Herman Marquez and Kyle Freeland when Kyle Freeland was good. He wasn't good last year. But I mean, they had a really good pitching staff for a little while. But it's just so hard because I mean, Kyle Freeland was like he had I think an ERA under 3 2 years ago, and then last year like had like an ERA of like 7.50 or something like that.
I can't. I gotta think juiced balls plus that stadium probably not good for pitchers.
My next card is Marlins second baseman Isan Diaz. I believe he is like his dad was at his first game where he had a home run. I don't know if that's true, but I think I remember that happening. It was against the Mets too, I think.
I'm not recalling. Sorry, I'm letting you down.
It might have been something else. I might have been someone else. Let's see what the Begos card says. 23-year-old erupted for career highs in home AAA, triggering an intro to the majors in August, facing Cano's Mets in his debut. Diaz clubbed a round tripper because they said that his childhood idol was Robinson Cano. That's kind of crazy that guys have childhood idols that they can still play against. But
that's nuts. But that's the nature of the league, and that's one of the reasons I kind of love this sport because you don't get that in like football necessarily. I feel like,
yeah,
but I mean, how many guys in the past 5 years came up idolizing like Ichiro, and Ichiro was still hanging around as a guy who like he wasn't an everyday player, but still there to be a mentor and just an asset for those teams to help get these guys up to speed. All right, so my next guy, Starlin Castro of the Marlins.
former Cub. I love Starlin Castro. I'm so sad he didn't get a World Series ring. He was there for the Cubs when the Cubs were bad, and then they traded him after 2015, right before they won the World Series. But I love Starlin Castro. Low key could get 3,000 hits in his career. Like low key, like he's not going to, but he definitely could do it if he like turned it on.
You're right. It's funny because I mean I'm looking at the back of his card now. He led the league in at bats for like 3 straight seasons. He got a lot of plate appearances with the Cubs.
Yeah, he came up
really
at 20 also. He came up at 20. He's just been super consistent. Never really serious injury problems at all. I mean, he played like 162 games at least a couple times in his career, and that's all you need. If you play 100, if you average 150 games from age 20 to age 38, it doesn't even matter how good of a hitter you are. I mean, look at Omar Vizquel. I mean, like I don't know if he actually got 3,000 hits, but he came very close. But
yeah, that's true. That's true. Vizquel is that's one that he's a great argument when people talk about counting stats versus efficiency stats because he just played forever.
Yeah. My next card is Yankees closer Aroldis Chapman, another former Cub.
So my next guy, Jordan Yamamoto, rookie card from the Marlins. I hear a lot about him, but I'm not familiar with his body of work and what his potential is.
I remember I watched a couple games he pitched last year. Don't remember too much about him, but I did. I actually, me and my friends are doing this thing in fantasy baseball this year where we're going to have 3 different like leagues. We're going to have an East League, a Central League, and a West League, and you can only draft players from those divisions. And so I did a mock draft for the East League. I ended up drafting Jordan Yamamoto, I believe. My next card is I talked about Adalberto Mondesi and how I think he could steal 75 bases. If it wasn't him, it would probably be this guy Malik Smith on the Mariners. He's very exciting. It's nice to have like when like bad teams have exciting players because at least their fans still have a reason to watch. I think the Mariners could be good like while Malik Smith is still with the team though. Like it's not like it's like a lost cause. Like I think they could be good in a couple of years. Their farm system is really good. But absolutely. Malik Smith, I mean, he stole 46 bases last year, 40 the year before. Not a terrific hitter, but he's not terrible.
Yeah, he can if he can figure it out a little bit. He's another guy. You're right. He's ridiculous to watch. My next card is Miles Michaelis. He spent some time overseas. I wonder if they have that accounted for here because Yeah,
Was it
so
Korea or Japan?
I think it was Korea, but don't hold me to that. So yeah,
He's
from
got a sick mustache.
2015, 2016, and 2017, he was out of the he was overseas. Then he came back in 2018. I mean, he's been solid. 2018, 2.83 ERA. Last year, not quite as good. A lot of losses, but I mean, his ERA was floating around 4, which is not great, but it's not like get off my field completely bad.
Yeah, Miles Michaelis is like the classic '80s pitcher. Doesn't strike out guys, doesn't walk guys. He looks like he's straight out of the '80s. I mean, I love Michaelis as a Cubs fan. I hate when I mean, it's weird because like he doesn't throw like that hard. He just seems like a pitch to contact pitcher, but it works out because the Cardinals defense is very solid, so it ends up working out for them. My next card is a breakout talent card of Rhys Hoskins. He was really good the first like 2 months of his career, and he's still very solid. He's one of those guys. He gets on base a ton, even if he's not hitting home runs like he did when he came up. He's just like Bryce Harper. The dude walks like crazy.
He's a very disciplined hitter.
Yeah, and pitchers are still afraid of him. I think. I mean,
Yeah.
he has. You can't just leave it over the plate. Like he doesn't have the. I mean, he still can hit home runs. It's not like he's hitting like 15 a month like he did when he came up. But he's still really good.
The power doesn't go anywhere. He's just a smart player, and he tries to get on base, and he does a great job of it. We've already talked about this guy. This is Mike Trout, Decade's Best Award winner insert. I would not argue with that claim. I think he is the best player of the decade, and by the time he retires, will probably be remembered as the best player in the history of baseball.
Yep. My next card is this is like a throwback card. I don't know. Tell me what year this is from, but it's a Chris Bryant card. And like it looks like it's like an '80s card almost. Like
it's probably 85 is the card number on the back, 85 dash something.
Yes, 85 dash.
So that's the 1985 card design. So that's just like an insert where they're taking that design and putting it modern day.
It's a cool card. I love Chris Bryant. I'm gonna be sad when he leaves the Cubs eventually because the Cubs aren't gonna pay him, but he's really good. I mean, the dude. I mean, he was a stud hitter in college. Came up, won Rookie of the Year, and then won MVP and won a World Series. I mean. He's still very good too. People kind of a lot of Cubs fans don't like him for some reason. I don't get it. I mean, he's the best player on the Cubs. He's better. People are like, "Oh, Bias is better, Rizzo's better." They're not better. Bryant's the best player on the Cubs.
I think so many people wanted him to be Mike Trout, and I think that gets held against him. But that's just a completely unfair standard.
Yeah.
All right. So I have Yusei Kikuchi, the Turkey Red insert. From Seattle, right? Yeah, Seattle.
Yeah, he was terrible last year, man.
He was.
He got lit up, especially the beginning. I thought he was gonna be pretty solid, but he was just bad. I think he still has it though. I mean, he's still a very talented player. It's just, just first year in the majors, just kind of tough, I guess.
Hopefully he adjusts.
Yeah. My next card is if you're gonna argue a player is a better hitter than Mike Trout, it is Christian Yelich. I would still say Trout's a little bit of a better hitter, but Yelich is very good as well. He is, I mean, like Brandon Woodruff, the Brewers need him to have a terrific season. I mean, if anything less than like a 1,000 OPS from Yelich, and the Brewers are getting hurt because, I mean, he's been that for the last. It's not saying that Yelich is a bad player if he does that. He's still really good. It's just he's been so good the last 2 years just to barely edge in the Brewers for the playoffs. Like anything less than that, especially with who they lost Grandal, they lost Moustakas, they lost a lot of depth pieces as well. That Yelich it's unfair to put that kind of expectation, but he really needs to be an MVP contender this year for the Brewers to have a shot at making the playoffs with how much talent's in the division and in the league in general.
Oh, you're right. It's spot on. So, talked about this guy a little bit before, Mr. Nelson Cruz.
He's a bopper.
Yeah, and he's 40. He's 40 actually this coming week. But yeah, like, I mean, the dude's still doing it, and no signs of slowing down. So all the respect in the world to him.
Yeah, I mean, he had almost a career high in home runs at age 38 last year. That's crazy.
Nuts.
1,000. Yeah, I mean, it was his best hitting season by OPS. That's crazy. Top 10 in MVP at age 38 as a DH. That's really good. I mean, you hit well when you do that. He had a stretch last year where he was on fire.
Oh,
at the end of the season, man. My next card is Nick Markakis, another guy like Starlin Castro, dark horse to get 3,000 hits. He's at 23.55, and he was born in '83, so he's 36 right now. He's 36. He needs about 600 more hits. He's probably not going to do it, but like if he gets playing time the next few years and like he plays until he's 41, like he could do it.
Speaking of good players, this guy I'm very high on. Yoan Moncada from the White Sox. I think he's gonna surprise some people this year. He's ready to take another step.
See, it's interesting because a lot of people in the advanced stat community are very actually like low on Moncada. Not like that he's a bad player, but if you look at his batting average on balls in play last year, it was like the highest in like 20 years. And so like yes, Moncada hits the ball really hard and that does warrant a high batting average on balls in play. But I don't think he's going to get better this year just because I think any actually steps he makes at the plate are going to be overshadowed by just some regression just from the fact that it's really difficult to hit over 400 on balls in play. So it's not that he's a bad hitter or anything. It's just I think that I'd be surprised if he took another step just in terms of like I can see him taking another step in terms of like his like StatCast stats and stuff like that. But I think his overall numbers are not going to get much better this upcoming year just because I think he's going to end up regressing a little bit just because of how much fortune he had when he put the ball in play. I think I actually looked into him probably a couple months ago. I'm losing track of the days. I don't actually, it could have been 2 weeks ago. I don't even know. But he is, I was looking to see where the regression would come from. And he's a switch hitter and he's a really, really good hitter from the left side of the plate. Yeah. And he's not very good from the right side of the plate. But the thing is, he got pretty much identical results from both sides last year. So I think he's going to keep, I think he's one of the best players, one of the best hitters in baseball from the left side. He's not really good from the right side. So I think it's gonna show next year that he's one of the, if you look at his StatCast stats, I mean, they're like the bottom 10 percentile if you're looking from the right side, but he still got really good results, if that makes sense. So I think he's gonna regress on the right side. I think he's still gonna say like, he's pretty much Aaron Judge from the left side of the plate when he's hitting from that side, but from the right side, he's not very good.
Oh, you're right. And there are some people who think he should just stop switch hitting, but me, I'm an optimist. I think if he can if he can continue to get a little better on the right side, you're right. He got lucky last year. But he's still very young. What is he, like 25? Not even, right?
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Personally, I'm high on him. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. My last card in this is Luke Voigt on the Yankees. He just seems like one of those guys. I mean, the Yankees just pull out of nowhere and ends up being a really good player. It seems like everyone on the Yankees is like that. But he's also a former Cardinal, I think, right? Yeah. I mean, he's a very good hitter.
Luke Voigt is just muscle.
Yeah, he's a tank.
All right. So before we open our last pack, so I typically do giveaways with these videos, and we're going to do another one with this video. So what we have for people watching, we have a copy of Hidden Ball Trick by Jeremy Frake and Jeff Passan, Volume 1 and Volume 2. So this will be a Twitter giveaway. You can check out our Twitter at RipsWith when this video drops to figure out how to win. I just want to talk about this for a little bit. So how'd you get linked up with Passan and get this project off the ground?
Yeah, so he has a very similar Twitter account to mine. He's at Passan Jim. And so we've kind of just always like known each other through baseball Twitter just because of how similar our accounts are. We ended up meeting up a couple years ago. He came to Chicago. We met we went to a few baseball games and stuff, which was pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, we've just always been like friends on Twitter. So we kind of just, it was like an idea I always had, but it kind of just came together a couple of years ago when we started writing the first one. But yeah, I mean, Jim's a really good guy. Definitely enjoyed writing the first two, and we'll enjoy writing the third one eventually.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to seeing what that has. All right, so you want to jump into the last pack?
Yes, I'm very excited. I've got some nice pulls. Trout, Yelich, and Chris Bryant. Pretty solid.
All right. So we're starting off interesting here.
All right.
I've got the Houston Astros team card.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that I still think that they have the best lineup in baseball. Yeah. Even post cheating. I mean, they're gonna hit Carlos Correa like 7th this year. Like, who does that? Them and the Dodgers are just ridiculously deep. Yeah, and like, say what you will about the cheating and everything, I really think that they're still a really good team. They lost Garrett Cole, which is gonna hurt, but I mean, their lineup is scary. There's no hole in their lineup.
You're right. Yeah, I mean, the cheating thing aside, like, they have a lot of talent and they're still gonna be good.
Yeah. My first card is the New York Mets team card. I'm sure you probably know more about the Mets than I do.
I love that team. I think the DH rule is going to help a lot of players this year. Cespedes, if he can come back and get some ABs, there's still a lot of pop in that swing. You got guys like Dom Smith and JD Davis who are still young and finding their own, but Dom Smith last year, all I remember was big hits, even like closing out the season, the walk-off homer to win that game. So anything that gets him more at bats, JD Davis, kind of found it a little bit last year. I'm excited to see what that team can do this year. And I haven't even brought up the fact they have the best pitcher in baseball. All right.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
my next card, speaking of the NL East and defending World Series champions, is the Nationals team card. I don't think they can do it again. At the same time, Juan Soto is fantastic, young talent. Max Scherzer is still Max Scherzer, so they have a chance. But I'm going to jinx it here. I just don't think there's any way they can pull off what they did last year again.
Yeah, the Rendon loss gives them very little margin for error at this point. I love Juan Soto, and their pitching staff is going to be really important in the 60-game season. But I agree with you. I don't think they're the favorite in the division this year.
No. Who'll be interesting to watch this year is Trey Turner. I'm personally like a big Trey Turner admirer from his skill set. He's another guy I think that if he takes even half another step as a hitter and gets on base more, holy crap, that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. My next card is Joey Votto. He's one of my favorite players. He's like a statistical anomaly. Like he does everything like really weirdly. He's a very good average hitter. Yeah, again, he wasn't great last year, but before then, great average hitter. Got on base a ton. My favorite thing about him is he never pops up either. I think that was like one of my best tweets I've ever had was, I think over like a 10-year span, he had like 7 pop-ups in that entire span, which is ridiculous. I mean, I pop out more than in like one season in like rec league baseball than Joey Votto does in like the majors. It's absurd.
All right. So my next guy, Rogelio Armenteros from the Astros. I'm not familiar with him. This is his rookie card, so his body of work is Round Rock. And last year in AAA he was 6-7 with a 4.8 ERA. So I'm going to be honest, I'm not putting huge hopes on him this year.
My next is another Matt, Steven Matz. He's very good.
He is. He has potential. As a hitter, I feel like his novelty is he's a fantastic hitting pitcher. And I think actually either this weekend, maybe today, was like the anniversary of his big league debut. He had 3 hits in his big league debut as a pitcher, and one of them was a homer. So he's got a lot of potential. I think with Syndergaard going out, he has a chance to maybe surprise some people this year because his spot in the rotation is a little more solidified than it has been the last couple of years.
Yeah, for sure.
So my next guy, speaking of home runs, is Matt Olson.
He's so good.
He is. And what more can you say other than he's so good and he plays for the A's, which means the A's probably won't re-sign him. And I'm interested to see what the race to sign him when he is a free agent looks like.
Yeah, he is another really good defender. It's hard to see defense at first base because like you just don't do as much, but he's top notch. He's so good.
Absolutely. And like I think about him and his swing and his stature. I see him going to someone like the Yankees in a few years when he's a free agent and just like, what?
Yeah, dude's going to hit 50 homers or something like that. He's so good. My next card is Tyler Flowers, catcher for the Braves. He's one of those guys that he's a really good framer. So like a lot of people in like the advanced stat community love him. Solid hitter as well. He's a very good player, but I think a lot of people like that I follow like overvalue him just because like I don't know. I guess he's a really good framer, which I think they think is very important, but I mean, he's a good player.
So my next guy is Michael Brusso from the Rays. This is his rookie card as well. Last year in Durham.
He played for the Rays last year, I think, too.
A little bit. It's not on here, but last year in Durham, 304, 960 OPS, 567 slugging, 16 homers, 60 RBI in 73 games. So,
I could be wrong. I feel like he pitched last year, like in one game. I could be completely wrong. I'm looking at him up. He did pitch. He did pitch last year. All right. My next card is another catcher, Gary Sanchez. He can hit home runs. And I also think don't sleep on his defense. I think his defense is. I think he's going to be a much better defender these next few years. I think he's really been working on it. He's never going to be like a great average hitter, but if you can hit home runs and just be a competent defender, like he's a very good overall player.
Yeah.
If he can catch, I've seen him working on framing and stuff, and if he can just be just average behind the plate, he has a great arm, obviously, but just an average framer, an average receiver, stuff like that. He's a very good player. Even if he doesn't, he's still a good player.
Tyler White, first baseman for the Dodgers. I'm not too familiar with him, honestly, because I think of Max Muncy. He only had 12 games.
Houston. He was on Houston, I think, the year before. I don't know what the trade was.
Career high is 85 games back in 2016. And he's
he played a little bit.
2018 when he played 66 games, 12 homers, batted 278, 888 OPS. So, I mean, decent bench piece, it feels like, but not much beyond that.
My third catcher in a row is Mitch Garver for the Twins. He had a really good year last year. Jeez. I mean, he had 995 OPS in 93 games. I mean, that's elite, not even just for a catcher, but even considering the fact that he was a catcher. He was really good. I don't know what to expect from him for this year, but I mean, does not take away from the fact that he was a stud last year.
Yeah, no, that's another guy I want to see what he does because last year was his breakout. I hope he follows it up. Speaking of breakouts, I'd be interested to get your opinion on this guy, Dustin May. Aside from the ridiculous flow he has going on, what do you think of him? Because I feel like Gavin Lux is getting all the attention as far as young Dodgers these days, but I feel like some people kind of underappreciate Dustin May, and maybe I'm just off base there.
No, I definitely agree with you. I don't know if I think he's going to be more in the bullpen this year for the Dodgers, but he's going to be a very important piece. They picked up a couple guys in their bullpen, but I remember the Dodgers fans were very frustrated with their bullpen last year. But yeah, he could be a very sneaky key player for them for this season. Obviously, they're going to make the playoffs. I would bet a lot of money on them making the playoffs this year just because, number one, I think they're, if not the best team in baseball, the second or third best team in baseball, and their division is just not that good. So
it's not, and yeah, that's all they're playing this year. 2/3 of their schedule's in division, and the AL West is good, but not to the point where it's going to tank the Dodgers.
Right. The Padres and Diamondbacks are solid, but neither of them are going to, I don't think, even in a 60-game season, are going to be close to as good as. There's no second good team in that division. I mean, they're fine, but I don't know. There's no second contender, I think, in that division. I could be wrong, but you never know.
That's fair.
My next guy is Ronald Acuna Jr. He's a very good player. He almost went 40-40 last year. A lot of people, I mean, he is a very exciting player. I think MLB is doing a good job of marketing him a lot. A lot of people don't like him because he's a little flashy, but I don't mind it, honestly. I think he's a little bit overrated as a hitter right now, but the fact that he's so young, I mean, he's going to be what everyone thinks he is now in a year or two. I think his OPS last year, I mean, it was only 883, which is good, but it wasn't like people. I think people think he's an elite hitter. I don't think he's there yet, but I think he will get there eventually. And he's a great base runner. I actually don't know how many times he got caught stealing, but I mean, to steal 37 bases, you got to have at least a little bit of speed.
Yeah, no, and he's fun to watch. I hate that he plays for the Braves, but a lot of talent, fun to watch. Intrigued to see what he does. We've already talked about this guy too, Vlad Guerrero Jr.
Yeah.
How long do you think they keep him at third base? Because I don't think it's that long.
I don't know. I mean, you kind of have a lot of flexibility. I mean, they always had a DH, but I mean, he can. I don't know if he'll play a full season at third base, but he can kind of move around from third base to DH. I don't know how much he's played at first base, but obviously he seems like a good contender to end up being like a Ryan Zimmerman kind of guy. Start your career at third, move to first. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're planning on doing. Their infield's going to be very, very exciting in the next few years, though.
Absolutely. How many Hall of Famers kids can you put on a team?
Yeah, right. And they have Yuli Gurriel's brother too. Just a lot of family connections on that team. My next card is another Cardinal. Is he ever since the Jake season in 2015, Jack Flaherty I think had the most dominant pitching stretch I've ever seen. Second half of the season, no one could hit him. It was, I think over a 2-month span, he had an ERA under 1 or something like that. It was ridiculous.
Jack Flaherty's insane, and he is going to win multiple Cy Youngs at the rate he is going. My next guy is Tyler Beede, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
I feel like I hear a lot about him, but I feel like he's very inconsistent.
Yeah, I think he's a solid prospect. I don't know what he's done in the majors, but
Last year, 5.08 ERA with a 5.10 record.
My next card is Brandon Drury. He's on the Blue Jays. He was on the Yankees. He had some eye problems, I believe. It was some weird thing. I don't know what happened, but it's cool that he ended up getting up some. I didn't even realize he played 120 games last year. But
Wow.
I think when he was on the Yankees, he had some like eyesight problems where he like just could not see pitches or anything. But it's cool that he was able to get back to being a regular player.
Absolutely. And I don't know if he'll be a regular this year, but I think he's still going to get some time.
Yeah.
So my next guy is Kettle Marte. He's phenomenal, in my opinion. Some people may disagree, but
Oh yeah, I love him. He's really good.
No. 7 WAR last year, 329 average, 981 OPS.
At second base, shortstop, and center field. I mean, those are the 3 positions. I mean, besides catcher, if you're making a player, you're putting him, give him 3 positions. Second base, shortstop, center field is a terrific combo to have. Just super athletic. He was a really good hitter last year. And I think a lot of people thought he was going to be a really good hitter, and he ended up turning it on.
Yeah, I'm hopeful to see that he continues it because huge fan.
Yeah. My next card is a White Sox in Eloy Jimenez, another former Cub prospect. He wasn't a former Cub, but he was traded for Jose Quintana, which questionable trade in hindsight. I thought at the time I was very happy with it because Quintana's. I mean, he's kind of like Chris Archer, but a little bit better. It seems like he's always underperforming a little bit, but he was always a very good 3 starter, which is what the Cubs kind of needed, which is pitching depth, and he's kind of just been that guy. So fine. I mean, Jimenez could end up hitting 40 home runs a year for the next 10 years, and that trade's gonna look terrible. But I mean, last year he had 31 homers in 122 games as a rookie, which is ridiculous. Not a good defender, but he can always DH. But yeah, he's a really good hitter for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm again intrigued to see what he turns into. And that Sox lineup we talked about, Moncada. Yeah, him, Eloy. They have Grandal, right?
Yep, and Tim Anderson too.
Yeah, that's a deep lineup. I'm
very solid. Yeah,
interested to see what they do. So here's an interesting card: Jacob deGrom, but he's batting. So I'm gonna check
that aged pretty poorly.
This might be one of the short prints. So you don't know this about baseball cards. Topps in particular does this. Like in really small font at the bottom, they put like a code, and the codes tell you if it's like a regular base card or if it's a short print variant. So
yeah,
that one does have a different number than some of the other ones. So I'm gonna need to double check that one.
Interesting. My next card, you already have this card. It's Abraham Toro. Of course, the one guy we get the exact same card of twice is Abraham Toro. But
another guy we've already talked about a little bit, not too in depth, Juan Soto.
Oh, he's a stud.
What else?
I've never seen such a professional hitter at such a young age.
It's insane. I hate it because he plays in my division. It's insane. If you took the best outfielders in the NL East, the NL East has just so many good outfielders. Acuna, Soto, Robles. As a Mets fan, I'm trying to think who is better than them. If Conforto takes a big step, but he's not going to dethrone either of those 3 at this point.
Yeah, you're totally right. My next card is Brendan Rodgers on the Rockies. I don't know how much he played last year. I think he played a little bit last year, but he is a really highly touted prospect, and I'm very excited to see what he does. It's going to be a little weird because, I mean, he was like a third base / shortstop, and they have probably one of the best third base and one of the best shortstops in baseball. So he's playing a little bit of second base, if I recall. It sucks for him that he ended up getting into that organization where he couldn't really have a path. I mean, Arenado was in trade talks, so because they really do think Brendan Rodgers is going to be a stud, and they could put him at third base. But yeah, for now, I guess he's just stuck at second base. But yeah, at Colorado, I'm interested to see what he does.
I am too. And you mentioned Arenado's trade talks. The trade deadline this season, with it being basically 2 weeks into the season, is going to be very interesting. I do wonder if someone pulls the trigger on.
They moved it back. They actually moved it back a month. It's actually August 31st.
Oh, they moved it again?
Yeah. Missed it. So it's like a month and a half now. Yeah.
Okay. Still,
it's weird that's going to come so close to the end of the season now. I mean, you can have teams that are going to know if they're in it or not.
And that's kind of where that the question I was kind of raising there, it amplifies that a little bit. Does a team pull a trigger on like an Arenado trade if they know like, all right, we are like solidly in the middle of this race and this is going to just be another level type move?
Right, yeah. I mean, that's kind of what the Dodgers did. I mean, they added Mookie Betts for a year, and it almost ended up working out horribly for them if there was no baseball this year. But
That would be terrible.
I mean, I would not be surprised if Mookie Betts, like, I mean, just based on the Dodgers' luck, if they ended up playing like they end up losing in like the NLDS and Mookie Betts hits like 050 or something, and just because of just how random baseball is, you pick up one of the top 5 players in baseball to be your right fielder, add him to a lineup with Cody Bellinger, and you still end up losing in the first round or something like that. I'm rooting for them though. Like, I mean, yeah, they spent a lot of money, but their team it's gonna be a lot of fun this year. And they've got a ton of talent. It's ridiculous. I mean, they have Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts. I mean, they have Bellinger, who won the MVP last year, and Betts, who won the MVP, 2 years ago? And has always been a very good player, even when he doesn't win MVP. That'll be fun.
It's going to be fun to watch.
I have Christian Vasquez. This is the 4th catcher, I believe, of this. Did he get moved? I feel like he got moved. I could be wrong. Let me look him up real quick.
No, I think he's still with the Red Sox.
I feel like there was a lot of talk about him getting moved. Yeah, he is a good player when he hits. That's just how a lot of catchers are. He's got to hit, and you're solid. If you don't hit, you're not good. Because, I mean, the year before, like in 2018, he was terrible. He had a 540 OPS, but then last year he had a 800 OPS. So, I mean, you never really know.
Speaking of you never really know, Franmil Reyes, outfielder from the Indians. I feel like he has potential. I don't know why, though. And maybe it's that 25 homer season he had in the minors like 3 years ago that I'm remembering.
He hits a ton of tanks. Him and Renfroe were in the same outfield for the Padres, I believe, and that was that was scary. They had just hit a ton of home runs. He's like not a terrible player, but he's just a home run hitter.
I feel like his basement is like end of career Matt Stairs, where his job is basically going to be like you're on the bench and just go take the biggest swings you can in the 9th inning, basically.
Yeah. My last card of the episode is Blake Trinan, and he's a really good one to talk about because 2018 he had one of the most dominant seasons by a reliever I've and then last year he had a 4.91 ERA. So he was just, I mean, I guess same thing with relievers as catchers. I mean, he had nearly 4 WAR as a relief pitcher in 2018.
It's nuts.
And then last year he was negative. I mean, if he can get back to where he was, he's really good.
Yeah, no, that's
But they had Liam Hendricks last year, so they almost didn't even notice that Trinan wasn't that good. Imagine if both of them have good years in the same season. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, you have the last 2 innings of each game covered if you want.
The Athletics could very easily win it all this year if everything clicks.
I hope so. That would be fun to watch. Matt Chapman will finally get some respect on his name.
All right, so my last card is David Dahl of the Rockies.
Yeah, I love Rockies players. He's actually really funny because he made a video on Twitter about like his like I think he called it like lowlights or something, and it was just like all of the errors he's made in his career. It was very funny that he just posted on Twitter. I don't know why. I don't remember what the context of it was, but it was very funny that he did that.
I appreciate a good self-deprecating player.
Yeah. Yeah, if you can post a video of yourself making errors at the major league level, like that shows some potential to actually want to be a good player, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I think another good video I saw on Twitter, Trevor Williams posted one of him just laying down bunts.
Bunting? Yeah, that was funny.
That was great.
That was funny.
We're done with packs. Do you have any favorite cards from what we pulled?
Well, besides the Trot one, I like the Chris Bryant one because it's kind of like that throwback. Like you said, it was the 85 card. It's just a cool, and I love Chris Bryant as well. So it's just a very cool combination of cool card art plus a very fun player. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm a big Chris Bryant fan, so I support
What was that?
Big Chris Bryant fan. You have my full support there.
What was your favorite card that you pulled?
Dude, I'm leaning towards this DeGrom batting card because I really
That's
think
good.
that this is some kind of short print, because why would you have DeGrom batting otherwise?
Right.
And I just love Jacob DeGrom. Well, dude, I mean, I thank you so much for your time. It's been a lot of fun. Again, so we're going to do a giveaway with this video. We got a copy of Volume 1 and Volume 2 of Hidden Ball Trick by yourself and Jim Passon. The way you can enter to win that is I'll post this video on my Twitter with the link to YouTube at Rips With. It'll just be kind of a retweet and follow situation. Check us out there. Jeremy, you got any final words or thoughts for people watching?
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you for having me on. Thank you for the baseball cards. I'm very excited. I'm probably gonna put a team together with these guys and see what I can do.
I love it. All right,
But
dude.
yeah,
Well,
this was fun.
follow Jeremy on Twitter at MLB at MLB Random Stats. It's a good follow. You'll learn something. And dude, keep crushing it, because I think if you want a career in baseball after this, I think you're well on your way to having some fun in life.
Cool. Thank you, man.
Hey, no problem.